Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swing and a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk him off. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined by a pair of DodgerBlue.com writers and our editor, Matt Moreno, and Blake Williams. Guys, this is a slow time of year for rumors, but we got a little bit of action that turned out maybe not to be really worth our time at all. There were reports earlier in the week that the Dodgers had extended a 2-year contract to Aroldis Chapman. Well, LA Times reporter Mike DiGiovanna shot that down. He tweeted out several rumors floating around today about the Dodgers being interested in Chapman, one claiming the team has offered a 2-year deal. Neither is true. Two sources familiar with the team's thinking say LA not involved in the bidding for the embattled left-handed pitcher. Matt, were you surprised on either end of this report that they were originally interested or that they're not interested?
Not at all. I mean, and I think, no disrespect to Carlos Baerga, who I think is the only person who may have reported that the Dodgers were interested in Aroldis Chapman. Like, I know we were just discussing before, I know we started recording this, like he has gotten some things right, but he's gotten enough things wrong that this one didn't really make sense, that I was waiting to see, like, okay, I'm going to need, like Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, somebody else to sort of chime in and say, yeah, the Dodgers are actually, interested in Chapman. So to hear that they're not pursuing him, I mean, it made sense.
Yeah, Blake, look, my first thought when I read this is like, there's no way they're signing Aroldis Chapman in the midst of the Trevor Bauer situation they're in the midst of. Chapman, of course, famously had a domestic dispute about 7 years ago. Did you connect the dots between those two things, Blake?
Yeah, I did. It didn't make sense for me from the first report. I didn't really buy into it. Just from a PR perspective, you can't sign him, because if you're keeping Bauer and then signing Chapman, you're creating a bigger problem there. And it almost feels like you're endorsing it. And then if you let Bauer go and you sign Chapman, then you're kind of like hypocritical about the situation. So it just didn't make sense there from a PR standpoint. And then also Chapman just hasn't been good. So I didn't see the Dodgers going over the luxury tax to sign a pitcher who hasn't been good in 3 years now.
Yeah. Blake, I'll stay with you. I mean, do you think do the Dodgers need help in the bullpen?
I don't think they need help, but you can always improve in the bullpen. You never know what you're going to get with relievers, especially with all the breakout guys they had last year with Evan Phillips and Yency Almonte. Like, you just don't really know what you're going to get with them. So if you can bring in more veteran help and shore up the bullpen, yeah, I think it would be a great thing to do, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a need.
Matt, we discussed that Chapman is a controversial sort of figure in a lot of ways because of the stuff that's in his history. Obviously, when that domestic incident happened, the Dodgers were actually just about to trade for him. And so I think in some ways it's like, well, Andrew Friedman has expressed interest in him before. Again, I think this was 7 years ago, but same question I asked to Blake, like, all of that aside, does a player like Chapman fill a need for this Dodgers team when you consider the tax that they're trying to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Blake. I don't know how much of a need there is in the bullpen. That being said, and I don't want to completely sound, excuse me, like I'm repeating everything he said, but Andrew Friedman has said with the bullpen, year to year, it's so volatile, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. Like, Evan Phillips was fantastic in 2022, and, maybe he'll closely match that production, or he could easily drop off. And, with Alex Vesia and some of the other guys, like, we've seen, established relief pitchers go, make, swing the pendulum swings so wildly with them that you can never really predict it. So if a quote unquote, like, do they need help? I guess sure. Like Blake said, collect as many potential pieces as you can and hope that enough of them hit, which the Dodgers have succeeded on. Yeah. But for me, it's not. I mean, they need a center fielder / outfielder. I would argue they need another starting pitcher, which then at that point, if you have a surplus of starters, you could bump one of them into the bullpen and then you kind of supplement the group that way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. Chapman, like you hinted at earlier, Blake, the player himself, just like looking at the numbers and how he has performed, that piece doesn't make sense. The off the field stuff doesn't make sense. The salary doesn't make sense. This kind of checked every box of like, this would be a baffling decision by the Dodgers if they were to make it. And so the reports coming up from the LA Times, as we said, saying that those initial rumors were not true, makes all the sense in the world. But I'd love to hear from folks in the comments below. Is the Dodgers bullpen complete in your mind? We mentioned a lot of the guys at the back end. Shelby Miller is a newcomer. Daniel Hudson supposedly coming back. Blake Trinan potentially at some point as well. Do the Dodgers have enough help in the bullpen, or is there another reliever? Maybe it's not Aroldis Chapman. Is there somebody else in that group that you would like to see the Dodgers go out and sign? Let us know in the comments below. That's Matt. That's Blake. My name is Jeff. As always, we appreciate you joining us here. Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. As always, make sure you check out Dodger Blue 1958 on social media, DodgerBlue.com for all the latest. We appreciate you joining us. And of course, go Dodgers.